Creativity isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it's a storm, sometimes it's a spark, and sometimes it's both at once. Today I'm joined by someone who knows that tension well. Nick Harauz, a creative technologist, educator, and storyteller who has spent over 2 decades shaping the way we see and share ideas. Thank you so much, Nick Harauz, for joining me here on AwareNow to share this space and to share your story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so great to be here, Allié, and thank you so much for having me.
So before we dive into the mess and the magic of creativity, can you take
Yeah,
us back a bit? Who
yeah.
is Nick? Not just the titles and the work you do, but the story of how you became the creative voice that you are today.
Wow. I love to consider myself an accidental creative. There were a few different flashpoints that led me on my creative journey. I would say one was most notably after university. I was studying sociology and film studies and really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Hmm.
Uh, and at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to apply for this internship in Canada. It was an organization called the CFTPA. And at this time, I could get a stipend to work with a company in Vancouver and study under them. And they were a film production house. And I won. So I was one of 5 people who got into this competition. I went and lived in Vancouver for 3 years. And at that time, what I was primarily doing was helping with both pre-production and post. On the pre-production side, I was reading scripts, analyzing them, and then allowing the executive producer, like I would either pass or give them a chance to read it.
Mm.
And then I was also at that point in time cutting together a few things in terms of video editing. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with video editing and cutting and putting things together. And then this led after the internship to me moving back home and continuing along that video editing journey.
Okay, and so here
Yeah.
you are today then.
And here I am today. Yeah.
So let's dive in a little deep here. So
Yeah.
many people see ADHD as
Yeah.
a hurdle, but for you, how has it been both the challenge and the spark that's shaped your creativity?
That's such a great question. I think that the superpower when it comes to creativity is hyperfocus.
Mm.
So it's the ability to be able to just get into something, no matter how many distractions are around you, you can just dive in and create something beautiful. Um, I think that that in some ways is also your disadvantage because your concept of time doesn't necessarily translate like it does to other people. I, with that said, everyone struggles with time management, but ADHD especially so. So it can be a struggle to implement things that allow you to succeed and let's say even augment uh, production and post work and
Mhm.
all types of content that you want to put out there in the world.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So yeah, both sides of that then, the pros and the cons, I suppose is,
yeah,
the case with many things in life. But, let's again just dive a little bit deeper. Yeah, when
yeah.
your mind, Nick, is racing in a dozen different directions, what helps you slow it down enough to turn scattered thoughts into something that you can dive into, something intentional and meaningful? What helps you get there?
This is such a great question. And I'm going to bring you back to a time where I felt overwhelmed. Okay. So this is about 7 or 8 years ago. I was getting a little bit more seasoned in my career. I was taking on more projects and I was saying yes to more things than I should have. I felt overwhelmed. And I remember a doctor at some point said that your cup is completely full and you need to sort of bring that down to give yourself space, room to take on these items that you're having, but your brain doesn't necessarily work in that way that it knows how to manage that. So I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD at this time, but I had a fair idea that I had it. But I saw a communication coach, a productivity coach to help me.
Mhm.
And the number one thing at that point in time was to break things down into small steps. When you're looking at overall projects from that high perspective, let's say the aerial view, it can be sometimes overwhelming to see all of the small steps that need to be done in order to get to that goal. And if you're just looking at it one whole thing, it's just like you get stuck in this procrastination loop. Like you're just, it's almost just like, I can't ever achieve this, so I'm not going to. And it ends up just burning there in the background and also taking up space in your mind. So to me, the first thing was to say, you don't need to tackle this entire project today because that's the way the mind is going. In some cases, it's sad because and shameful because you haven't actually even started the project, right? Or got into the point that you're telling yourself you should be at. And that's not true. What is true is that at any point in time, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, taking something and actioning it is all the power in the world. And an action can be as simple as 5 or 10 minutes to move or progress something forward. And usually there's resistance towards that action. So where I am now is able to see that sometimes I don't want to start projects for resistance. I know how long it's going to take, but by just starting and convincing yourself or tricking yourself to do a small period of time, you usually do more and progress that project more than expected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I think that's true for so many of us, right? That we just have to, it's so easy to give other people grace and to give them space, but to give ourselves that grace to say, you don't have to do it all right now, do this right now. It's really difficult to sort sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, so breaking things down into smaller steps. And then on those days where, procrastination is rearing its ugly head,
yeah.
it just becomes now a game of being able to get close to the work that you need to do. So it could be as simple as, okay, I'm going to commit 15 minutes and I got to just get myself downstairs close to the computer, being in that place where, okay, now I'm in this environment where I know I usually execute work. Let me now take the step to do it. Let me set a timer for those 10 minutes and then
Mm.
surprise myself with doing more. So that's one thing that has been extremely successful, the smaller chunks and breakdowns.
Ooh, I
Um,
love that. I love that little
yeah.
challenge. Give yourself a challenge. Like, what can I do? And here's the timer. Let's go. I love that.
Yeah, so that's like huge, and every single time that small amount is the most important thing because that is achievable. When
Yeah.
you're looking at things from again that bird's eye view of everything, that's where the overwhelming nature comes in.
Mm.
Um, the other thing I'll say now, I write down all of the things that I need to do the day prior to um, the day that I start executing things. There's something very calming and reassuring about just being able to sort of like clear your mind the night before, just like 2 or 3 minutes. I use Notion as an app, and I'd say, okay, these are the things that I immediately need to get out done today. I'm going to finish those. Those are priority one, two, and then I'll have a bunch of other things that I would like to get to. And if I'm able to get to it, awesome. If not, I can move the date. But
Mhm.
having that written the night before, there's something about allowing your brain to kind of think about it when you're sleeping, when you're in your dream
Yeah.
state, that you then have direction the next day. And like how you said it, Ali, like when like scattering is usually when you don't have direction, right? Like your brain like wants to jump all over the place. But
Yeah.
when you've given yourself like refinements and guideline, like
Mm.
basically refining it, and then at the same point in time, just allowing yourself limitations to those priorities. You
Mhm.
have focus, and ADHD loves hyperfocus.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're feeding it the night before, and then able to take advantage of that the next day.
I love that. And I think there's probably something that brings comfort and relief, right? To be able to take all these things that you need to do and getting them out and actually being able to look at them objectively as opposed to trying to process them here. You can put them out into a list, into, you know, um, I think it's awesome advice.
Yeah.
So as someone who bridges story and technology, do you find that
Yeah.
there are certain tools or practices? Now, you just shared a practice just now, but are there other tools that give your ADHD driven creativity a sense of rhythm instead of chaos?
Ooh, rhythm instead of chaos. This is a great question. There's not so much of a technology ritual, but I'm a big believer in meditation, and I try to meditate as much as I can. I don't do it on a daily basis, but I do about 2 or 3 times a week. Guided meditation through an app called Headspace.
Mm.
Um, I fell in love with Andy's voice several years ago, and if I can get anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, it's like this calming process that allows me to then just sort of allow the voices in my head to calm down. It's like so good, and it's also good in periods of stress.
Yeah.
The time that I feel the most relief in a meditation isn't actually in an area of concentration. So usually in a meditation, they're guiding you and they're telling you to focus on your breaths. And from listening to a podcast like about 9 or 10 months ago from Huberman Lab, I finally have an idea of why. It's just that the ADHD mind likes to wonder, right? So when sometimes when it's like focusing, it's very hard when someone else is telling you to focus.
Mm.
But apparently there's a type of meditation, I've only done it a few times, that really helps people with ADHD.
Mm.
And it's called an open-minded meditation, Huberman was saying. So the idea is that you go into a meditation with the idea is to relax for 17 minutes and not focus on anything. It's just to notice what your mind goes. That's the whole mission. So it's like, oh, okay, like what are you thinking about? That's it. What are you thinking about and what are you feeling? And apparently this does wonders in terms of a natural way to sort of understand where your thoughts are going as someone with ADHD. And it's then he was saying proven and to be more relaxing and give immediate benefits to people with ADHD.
Mm-hmm. And I love that idea, because and then it's the exact opposite, right? As opposed to focus on this, it's like just to be and allow your brain to go where it wants, as opposed to trying to strap it down. And that is awesome. Question now for you, Nick, for those who are listening who feel like ADHD is holding them back. What's one personal truth or personal story that you could share where you've discovered that you can turn distraction into direction?
This is such a great question. I'm just going to need a few seconds to ingest that.
Take your time.
Turn distraction into direction. I think the trick with distraction is to note that you are being distracted. So these practices, such as, let's say, mindfulness and awareness, allow you to understand where your mind is focused, where your mind is going. And I think that distraction sometimes relates towards that scattered brain.
Mm-hmm.
So my 2 pieces of advice is that your brain more than likely needs that distraction in some cases, and is to basically develop times in your day where you're able to have distraction, like go at it, just like do whatever you want, be distracted, become overwhelmed, play. It's kind of like a creative playground in some ways. So I think that like having that built into your day, this is like the time that I'm allowing myself to be fully distracted, go. And the exact opposite, where distraction is becoming something that's taking away from what you want to do, it becomes noticing it, and then really kind of leaning into what is your goal for the day. I think that things live better in action than in stillness. A lot of times, stillness is what causes anxiety. It's what causes ADHD symptoms to get worse, as in when you're not taking action. But when things are moving, it is allowing you to get things off of your plate, and then allowing for new things to also be taken on.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. And it's just, I sometimes equate in my word nerd brain, as opposed to being the noun of it, it's to being the verb of it. So where it's
Yeah,
actually like in a dynamic state as to something, as opposed to something that's very static. And I hear you. I mean, I can relate where like yesterday I had so much to do, way too much to do, way too far behind in all of my tasks that I said,
yeah,
I'm going to go for a run. I had to physically move my body because I couldn't, there was just too much going on. And that practice helped me come back to center. So I hear you that there's something about allowing for that movement of thoughts, of ideas, of um to to give you the space that you need to move through it, right? To help process that.
yeah. You know what? You bring up such a great point, Allie. Like with the run, there's really two different creative states, let's call it. One is like, the focus state, the actionable state where you're at your computer, you're getting stuff done, and it serves one form of creativity, one form of productivity. But it doesn't necessarily allow your brain to form connections from things that you've learned and take on newer and better ideas.
Yeah.
And that's like the state that you bring up, that like running state is that where you're away from something. It has nothing to do with it's a kind of a form of action, but it's not like an actionable form related towards technology or seeing proof on paper. It's
Mm-hmm.
just giving yourself, your mind, time to sort of play and relax and form connections. And even having conversations like a creative podcast I did from for Boris Effects, many people were like, I get my best ideas in the shower. I get my best
Yes.
ideas on a run.
Yes.
I get my best ideas when I'm staring out a window doing nothing. And this like nothing state is like a proven method, allowing your brain to form connections to things that you're learning, and also uh, in some ways allowing your memory to develop better too
Yeah.
as you go through the process of learning and learning on the job when you're creating projects.
So this is I love that you brought up the shower because I feel like it's
Yeah,
running, showering, it's all these ings that I like so many. I'm like, I just need a whiteboard in the shower so I can just
yeah,
write down some things, but then it probably would defeat the purpose. So I love what you've shared that way.
yeah,
That state of nothing where we can just be, and that's where the magic happens. That's where it manifests, not in the output mode,
yeah.
right? Um,
And there's a ton of different CEOs who kind of swear by like a morning method where they don't touch anything until noon. It's so weird. It's like they'll have the entire morning for themselves. They'll like read a paper. They'll just give their mind time to think and ponder, and then they'll put everything into the actioning state, into the state where they're at their computer getting things done, executing on those ideas and connections that they form. But they sort of balance between those two different um, types of creative
mhm.
gates that you have there.
I love this conversation. It's making me want to reschedule my days in a very different way, giving myself that space.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's one more question for you today, Nick.
yeah,
With everything you've learned
yeah,
and with your course, Finding Creativity in Uncertain Times,
yeah.
what do you hope people take away about that link between struggle and creativity?
Oh, wow. Okay, this is such a great question. Um, I think in many cases, uncertainty, just like if we go back to our thoughts on ADHD, can be an unspoken strength. Uncertainty, in some cases, while it can be very fearful to look at that you just don't know what's coming next, is really a place and a state where some of the best artwork, some of the best movies, some of the best music you've listened to has been formed. It is inevitable. There's nothing that you can do to prevent uncertainty for coming and taking place in your life. And I think embracing some of that uncertainty can go a long way into allowing you to express your creative work and also becoming closer to the people that you want to.
Yeah.
Um, it's like an honest message that who knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that word you just used, honest. When you can acknowledge a particular degree of uncertainty, that's you being very honest. Because we all seek to control, to understand. That makes us feel safe. It makes us feel comfortable. But when we can accept, and not even accept, but embrace uncertainty with honesty, that's where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think with that honesty and just knowing that, things aren't uncertain, and like things are uncertain, but that doesn't necessarily mean that things aren't safe.
Just because we can't control it doesn't mean it's not okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for sharing this space, for sharing all of your incredible thoughts that are steeping and marinating right now in my mind. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Allie.